What's up everyone, Master Fox here today, and I'm talking about the October 1st OCG ban list. But before I get into that, I want to update you guys on my history of Yu-Gi-Oh series. Yes, I haven't forgotten about any of you guys, and I know that it's a highly anticipated episode. I finished scripting the entire next episode, and I started recording around 50% of it. The rest of the recording shouldn't take too much longer, but it's the editing process that will take the biggest chunk of time. So I'm not sure exactly when that will be out, but it will definitely be pretty soon. So be on the lookout for that. Now onto the discussion for today, the OCG October 1st ban list. Let's take a look at the forbidden cards. So what we have here is Elder Entity Norden and Tellarknight Ptolemaeus. So finally they've gotten rid of Norden, and then they've gotten rid of Ptolemaeus as well, which means no more instant fusion into Norden for some rank 4 plays, and Ptolemaeus is dead, which in the OCG takes out Pleiades as well as Cyber Infinity Dragon. And I think this is an intelligent way to hit both of these cards. These cards are the enablers essentially, and so they should be the ones hit rather than cards like Instant Fusion and Cyber Dragon Infinity. These two hits I agree with wholeheartedly. Now moving on to the limited section, we see that they have Shadow Mist limited, which is kind of shuffling around the hits to heroes, because I believe they move up Bubble Man somewhat later down the list, so they're kind of just moving them around. And if you guys may recall, Stratos is limited in the OCG, so this isn't as bad of as a hit as you may think, but heroes were a pretty big thing in the OCG, so it makes sense to kind of move around the hits and try to balance them a little bit. Globe Bulb moving up is pretty obvious. We've had it in the TCG for a while now. Insight Magician is a hit to the Magician deck in the OCG, which is a really powerful deck, so that makes sense as well. Deep Sea Diva being hit is probably due to Neptua Abyss being in the OCG, and Neptua Abyss really powered up the Merlantian deck, so it makes sense to kind of weaken that deck. Sharit is obviously to Nekroz. Nekroz is still a very dominant deck in the OCG. Semi-limited. They have Curry Bandit, Abystius, Goose Draken, Mind Control, Book of Moon, Charge of the Light Brigade, Gold Sark, Allure of Darkness, Dragon Shrine, Gateway of the Six, Sinister Shadow Games, and Crush Card Virus. So tons of semi-limits in the OCG, and so let's start from the top. Curry Bandit being semi-limited, I believe is moving up from being limited, though don't quote me on that. And then we have Abystius moving up from limited, so that's probably just to shuffle around some Murmillo cards in an attempt to balance it. Goose Kraken has been limited, I think, for a long time, and it has to do with some sort of hand loop using Mine August and Goose Kraken. I've seen the deck a couple times. I don't really understand the FTK, but I do know that it loops a lot of things, and it's essentially an FTK. And then Mind Control moving up. Mind Control hasn't really done much. It's more useful, I think, in the Synchro era than it has been in the XYZ era, but okay, that's fine. Book of Moon, I think moving up is completely warranted. That's fine. Charge of the Light Brigade has been at 2 in the TCG for a while, so OCG is trying to copy that and I guess attempt to move out some old cards that don't need to be there anymore. Gold Sark is definitely a card that doesn't need to be limited anymore. Allure of Darkness is kind of interesting. I bet there's a lot of debate about whether or not this card should move up. Overall, I think a lot of its power has been creeped essentially, because most decks can search their cards now. And Allure of Darkness, while it gives you draw power, it's not specific draw power in terms of searching. So in most decks have a dedicated searcher that will actually be better than randomized drawing. And then Dragon Shrine being semi-limited, I'm not sure if they had it limited before, but I assume they did have Dragon Shrine limited. And then Gateway of the Six is moving up from limited, which is really interesting. I know Samurai didn't really do much with Gateway limited, but Gateway of the Six has some loops associated with it, and I'm surprised even a format like OCG would decide to move this card up. It'll be interesting to see if Samurai do anything at all with this. I doubt it, although OCG has been shown to love their Samurai, so I bet that we'll see some sort of rogue top here and there with this. Sinister Shadow Games moving up. Shaddolls are a big thing in the OCG using this card, and also Curry Bandit before was a hit to Shaddolls, because Shaddolls like to use that in the OCG as well. Crush Card Virus moving up is fine. The errata kind of nerfed it pretty hard. Very few decks that are capable of using it still use it even now. Look at the TCG. A lot of Burning Abyss decks don't even run it, and you actually plus off of it. So now looking at Unlimited. For Unlimited, we see Elemental Hero Bubble Man, Honest, Chaos Emperor Dragon, Dark Magician of Chaos, Blackwind Gale the Whirlwind, Manju, Formula Synchron, Windup Zemiety, Instant Fusion, Magical Stone Excavation, Transmigration Prophecy, and Bottomless Trap Hole. So Elemental Hero Bubbleman, that's a swap with Shadow Mist, which I think is fine because honestly Bubbleman was basically a like Cyber Dragon-esque card anyways. It's not really broken enough to be limited. That's kind of silly. Honest, okay, that's fine, being unlimited. It's kind of a trolly card, but it's not really used. Chaos Emperor Dragon, this card was errated and it's kind of pretty bad now. It's only really good when you're really far behind and then you just kind of nuke the board and then turn the turn over to your opponent because you can't really do anything after you nuke it. So it doesn't really make a much difference being unlimited versus limited. Maybe that's some sort of trolley deck that you could do with having 3 Chaos Emperor Dragon or something. Dark Magician of Chaos, this card was errated and it's actually really bad now, so it can easily be at 3. Blackwind Gale the Whirlwind, this card, I honestly didn't even remember that it was still limited in the OCG. This card went up in the TCG a long time ago. Manju, I guess they traded that for Sharit. Formula Synchron, okay, that's definitely fine. Windup Zemiety, if you guys may recall, Windup Hunter is banned in the OCG, so this makes sense that Zemiety can go up. Essentially, all of the Windup cards could go back to 3 as long as Hunter is banned, because that means there's no hand loop anymore with the Windups. And there's not really much that they could do. They could spam out rank 4s, but there's tons of decks that can spam out rank 4s far better than they can. So Teller Knights are the prime example. Instant Fusion can finally move up now that Norden is banned. Magical Stone Excavation, this card could have gone up a long time ago. Same thing for Transmigration Prophecy. Bottomless Trap Hole at 3 is interesting. I honestly feel that this card could be at 3, definitely since first turn advantage was kind of nullified with the 5-card rule on the first turn, because it's essentially a 1-for-1 in most cases, and it's a good counter to Pendulum Summoning, which is what will essentially be the future meta. So I like that it's going to 3 here. A lot of people may think it could be a problem with Traptrix Murmelios being able to search it out, and I think that's a possibility, but still, in most cases, it ends up being a 1-for-1. So overall, it's pretty fair, and it's a slow card too, so there's a lot of chances for it to be popped before you can get its effect off, especially since it's not a chainable trap. So overall, this is a massive list, and it's really interesting because the OCG went from the last list, which essentially did nothing, to a list that did massive numbers of hits. I think there's 30 plus cards on this list, and that gets me thinking as to what the TCG is going to do. The last list in the TCG was rather sparse as well, so it gets me thinking maybe this next list will do something drastic, and maybe we'll see a lot of old cards returning, and maybe there will be some sort of meta nuke. You never know. So that's pretty much it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments section below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you.